There are two really important properties that you need to know when using a button, and that's OnSelect and also text. We'll also be covering some of the other more common properties of the button. Let's jump in. All right, so we have a fresh new PowerApps project in front of us right here. And in order to add a button, we're gonna go to the Insert menu at the top and select Button. And just clicking on that will add the button here to the design surface. Now, as I stated before, the two most important properties is the text and the OnSelect. So let's change the text of this button. So we have the button selected, and you can see these small dots, the 6 dots going around the sides of the button. If we go over to the right side, we'll see a property over here in the properties window on the right side of the screen called text. And see where it says button? We can actually change that to say something like, say hello. We have changed the text property of the button. Now let's add something to the OnSelect property of this button. So we can get to OnSelect by going to this drop-down list right here. As you can see, the OnSelect is already selected, but sometimes it may not be selected. So if the OnSelect property isn't already selected in this drop-down list, just go ahead and find it. They're listed in alphabetical order. There is a shortcut to getting to this OnSelect, and that is to make sure you have the button selected again. Go up to the Action menu at the top, and you'll see an item here called OnSelect. And that will also ensure that this OnSelect property is selected. Now, the OnSelect property is where you'll want to put code or an expression that you'll want to run or execute whenever that button is selected. That's why it's called OnSelect. In this case, we're just going to say hello to the user, and we could do so by using a simple function called notify. So go up here to the expression bar, and we'll type the word notify. And then we'll use an opening parentheses to pass a parameter in there, which is what we want to notify the user of. So in this case, we're just going to say, hello world. And the hello world string of text that we have there are going to be enclosed within double quotes. And then we're going to follow that up with an ending parenthesis. So let's test this out. We can simply click on the play button in the upper right corner or hit F5 on your keyboard, and it will run the application. Now let's click on the button. Let's go back into the design mode by either hitting escape on the keyboard or hitting that little X in the upper right corner. Select the button again. Let's direct our attention to the property panel over on the right side of the screen. So we've already changed the text. There is a property called display mode. So for example, you wanted this button to be disabled so the user couldn't click on it. You could change this to disabled and it would be grayed out. So if we were to run this, click on it, nothing happens. All right, let's make that enabled again by selecting edit from display mode. There we go. Now we can make this button invisible by changing this visible property to false. And if we run it, we notice that it's just simply not there. Now that we're back into design mode, how do we click on the button again? Well, if you look on the left side of the screen, we have a tree view panel, and we can select the button from there. Once we have it selected, we can go back over to how we made it invisible and set the toggle the other way to make it visible. So we've got the width and the height. So we can change that width to be something like 500. And once you type in a number, hit enter and it will change it. You don't have to manually change those numbers. You can just simply change the width and the height by dragging on those little dots on the button. A button also has padding. So let's say we made this button really small and the text was in there and we wanted at least 15 pixels padding on the top. See how it pushes it down there? So we'll change that back to 5. You can do that also to the left, the right, all 4 sides. Okay, so let me move it back to a normal size there. There we go. All right, we'll move on to the color. Now the color is actually the forecolor, the font color. So let's just click on this little portion right here and change that to yellow. As you can see, it changed the text color, the forecolor, to be yellow. Now, if you wanted to find this over here on the left side, it would simply be color. Okay? And also, if you look in the expression bar, this is the RGB value for yellow. And that fourth parameter is how transparent it is. So it's either 0 to 1, or you could put a 0 to 100% there. For example, if I just wanted to be 50% of that color, yellow, you see how I changed it. So I'm going to change that back to 100%, okay? Or you can just put the number 1, Should be the same thing as 100%. Okay, so what is not very apparent here? This other color, as you can imagine, you can see there's a blue color. Well, that is what's called the fill or the back color of this button. In order to get there, you'll need to scroll down and look for fill. Now, it's not labeled fill over here on the right side. This is just something you learn from working with these controls. So if you click on this expression bar, you'll see PowerApps will actually sort of show us that blue color. So we could change the button color here. Now, if we change it to another color, like let's see this dark green, we could do that. As you look on the right side of the screen, you're going to see some other colors as we scroll down. So if we were to run this project and hover over it, you see there's still a blue color there. So there's other colors for different properties of this button that you would need to sort of tweak. So that blue color came from this hover color, and there are 3 distinct colors. You have the color, which is the 4 color. You have the hover fill, which is where that blue color is coming from, where we hovered over it. And then this 3rd column of colors is the border. Okay, so we'll get to that in a moment. So we just covered the color and the fill. Now we've got a border, so we could set this button to have a thicker border. So let's change that to 10 pixels. So I bet you can see that there's a thicker border there. Okay, now it doesn't have to be solid. It could be dashed. It could be dotted. You could take it completely away by either saying none or changing this border color to 0, and it would take it out as well. And I believe the default border is 2 and solid. Okay. Now this border radius is what gives this button the rounded corners. So let's change that to 20 and see the effect. Okay. So if you wanted square corners, you change that to 0. There you go. Now font, this is the font that's used inside the button. So you have a set amount of fonts to choose from here. You have the font size, so we can make this a bit smaller if we wanted to. Make the button smaller, we could do that. We could make it very large, 48 point. All right, so we're almost through all these properties here on the right side here. Auto disable on select. So you can change that to false. Now what this is used for is, let's say if this button, you actually had some code that saved data to a database within the OnSelect for this button. And while it's performing that database operation, this auto disable on select, it would automatically disable this button while that database operation is occurring. And then it would become enabled once it is done. So it's a nice thing to have. If you didn't want that, you could just toggle that to off. All right, here are all the other colors. So if you wanted the colors to be something specific other than the defaults when it is disabled, so remember when we changed up here for the display mode, we changed it to disabled. It had like a gray color. Well, you can change those colors down here for disabled. Okay, pressed. So if we were to run this and actually mouse down on it, you see how it's yellow now? Because I have my mouse button down right now. It's being pressed right now. And I'm going to release it. Very good. Okay. So again, these 3 columns. The first one is the color. It's the 4 color. The second column is the back color, or inside of PowerApps, it's actually called fill. And the third column is the border. Okay, so if you were to click on the border for pressed color, or as you can see in the upper left corner, it says pressed border color, it's actually referencing self, which is referencing the same control that we're currently on, this button, and it's taking the fill property and using that value for the pressed border color. Now we go down to Tooltip, and we can set up a tooltip. Actually, Tooltip just displayed over my cursor, if you saw that. But we just type something in here like, this will say hello world. Okay, so if we run this and we hover over this button, we should get that tooltip. You see, this will say hello world. That is the tooltip. And the tab index. Tab index is used if you have several controls on a screen and you like to move the focus from control to control. Let's say you're creating a data entry screen. You've got a bunch of text boxes, and as you're typing in, instead of moving your hand over to the mouse and clicking on another text box for the focus to move to a different text box, you can just hit the tab key on your keyboard and move focus. That's what this property is used for, the tab index. So if you had a bunch of controls and you wanted that focus to move from control to control in a specific order, you would change that tab index to actually follow the order that you wanted it to. Would you do me a favor and leave a comment below?
Are you feeling overwhelmed with PowerApps? Do you feel there's just so much to learn and you don't know where to start? Lucky for you, Darren has the solution. Discover how you can condense 6 months of PowerApp struggles in just 90 minutes. Click on the link below to learn more about Darren's PowerApps Deep Dive Masterclass.